In a warm-up match before this tournament, Iceland made a substitution. A player's number went up, and he walked off slowly. By the time he reached the touchline, 10 seconds had passed, and 10 seconds is now the limit. His replacement was held at the line, kept off the pitch until the next stoppage, a full minute later. Iceland played that minute a man short. Japan scored the only goal of the game inside it. That wasn't a harsh referee, that's the rule now. Once your number goes up, you have 10 seconds to get off the pitch, or your team plays short until the next break. And it is one of more than a dozen new rules being used at a World Cup for the first time this summer. You've probably seen these called a crackdown on time wasting. That's the easy version, and it's half wrong. The rules that matter most this summer aren't about the clock. They're about what a player is allowed to do, where he can walk, and what he is allowed to say. 3 groups. Start with behavior, because these are the ones nobody warned you about. A player can now be sent off for covering his mouth during a confrontation. Not for talking, not for a quiet word with an opponent, for deliberately shielding his mouth, hand, arm, or shirt while squaring up to someone. The reason is specific. It traces to a Champions League incident where a player alleged an opponent had said something to him, a slur, with his mouth hidden so no camera could catch it. The player accused in that case was banned for 6 matches, a suspension stretched to cover this World Cup. The message is blunt. If you have something to say on the pitch, say it where it can be seen, hide it, and you walk. Protest has changed too. Walk off the pitch to protest a decision, and that is a red card. And if a team causes a match to be abandoned, if they refuse to keep playing, they forfeit, they lose the game. The reason is recent. At the Africa Cup of Nations this year, a side walked off after a decision, then came back and won. Under these rules, walking off is no longer a protest, it's a surrender. And the referee no longer has to face a crowd. Only the captain is allowed to approach him to question a decision. Anyone else who comes to argue risks a yellow card. The image of 6 players surrounding an official, faces an inch from his, is what they're trying to end. Whether the players obey it is the open question of the summer. Second group, how the game is judged and what you get to see of it. VAR can do more this summer, but in a precise way. It can overturn a second yellow card that was clearly wrong, though it cannot hand out a second yellow the referee didn't give. It can correct a case of mistaken identity when the wrong player is booked. It can overturn a corner that was clearly awarded in error, but only if the check is instant and doesn't hold up the restart. And it can flag a foul committed in the build-up to a set piece before the ball was even in play. More power with the brakes built in. The referee is also wearing a camera, and this is where most explanations get it backwards. The footage isn't locked away for training, it feeds straight into the live broadcast and onto the screens inside the stadium. So on a penalty, you may see the moment from the one angle football has never shown you, the referee's own eye line as he makes the call. It's harder to call a referee blind when you're looking through his eyes. Offside is faster. The semi-automated system tracks the ball and every player dozens of times a second, and for clear calls, the decision now goes by audio straight into the assistant referee's ear. The flag goes up almost instantly, instead of after the long, silent wait you've grown used to. The figures in the replay have changed too. They're now 3D models built from scans of all 1,248 players at the tournament, not the generic shapes from before.
Third group, the run of play.
Throw-ins and goal kicks now have a clock. If the referee thinks you're stalling, he starts a 5-second countdown. Run it down on a throw-in and the ball goes to the other team. Run it down on a goal kick and they get a corner. An average match has around 30 of these restarts. 30 chances to lose the ball or gift a corner by doing nothing. Fake injuries got more expensive. If the medical staff come onto the pitch to treat you, you leave the field for a minute once play restarts. The point is to kill the convenient injury that buys a team a rest under pressure. But it only bites the convenient ones. You're exempt if you're the keeper, if it's a head injury, if it came from a collision, or if the foul that hurt you got the other player booked. There's a quieter version attached. When a goalkeeper goes down, the rest of the team can no longer drift to the touchline for a word with the coach. The keeper is allowed to be injured. The team is not allowed to use it as a meeting. One change for the defenders. A foul that denies a clear goal-scoring chance is still a red card, unless the referee plays advantage and the attacking team scores anyway. Then there's no card at all. The old rule dropped it to a yellow. The new one says nothing was actually denied, so nothing is punished. And there's a fix for one of the cruelest ways to go out. Last year, in a Champions League shootout, Atletico Madrid's Julian Alvarez slipped as he scored his penalty, and his standing foot brushed the ball on the way through. A double touch. The goal was wiped out, and Atletico were eliminated. The law had been applied correctly, it was just never written for a man who slips. So it's been rewritten. An accidental double touch on a penalty is no longer simply chalked off. If the ball goes in, the penalty is retaken. If it misses, it stays missed. It has already played out on the biggest stage. In the Euro 2025 final shootout, England's Beth Mead scored, was ordered to retake for a double touch, and saw the second one saved, though England won the shootout anyway. And one rule for the weather. Every match, even the ones under a closed roof, gets a 3-minute water break in each half, roughly midway through, for a tournament played across an American and Mexican summer. It's the dullest rule on this list, and maybe the one that decides the most games, because the team that handles the heat in the final 20 minutes beats the team that doesn't. Which leaves one last change, and it's the oldest idea here. The goalkeeper can no longer sit on the ball. He used to get 6 seconds, now he gets 8, and the referee holds up a hand and counts down the final 5 in the air, so the keeper can see exactly how much rope is left. Hold it longer, and the other team gets a corner. The old punishment was an indirect free kick referees almost never gave, so keepers ran down the clock whenever they liked. Now it costs a corner, in front of a full stadium, on camera. Here's the part worth arguing about. It's the 89th minute of a knockout game. The score is level, and one of these rules is about to decide who goes home. Which one? The corner against a keeper who held it a second too long. The red card for a covered mouth. The substitute kept at the line while the other team scores. Pick one. Because at this World Cup, one of them will.